I've always been a spiritual person. I grew up in the Catholic Church. I pray daily with my children and family. I read daily devotionals, and I'm a very prayerful person, but I felt like there was something missing from my relationship with God and really keeping Jesus as the center of my life and my family's life. At the end of last summer, we took a trip together that kind of allowed us to take a deeper look at some of our actions and behaviors that weren't really aligning with what we wanted for our family. And I really prayed a lot for God to change the desires of my heart. Sorry. And allow me to find Him as the focus of my days to help me best fulfill my roles as a mother, wife, friend, and daughter. And I'm forever grateful that those prayers led us to Grace Fishers and a recommitment to my faith through baptism. We came to Grace Fishers for the first time on August 1st, and it felt really symbolic that it was the first day of Grace Fishers being its own independent church. We put our fingerprints on the artwork that was being done, and I thought that was really cool. It instantly felt like home for us and a place that we could really grow our faith together as a family. On one of our earliest visits, the story of the prodigal son was shared and touched me deeply. I had never heard it through all of my years of CCD and Sunday school, and it really struck a chord with me. I realized that God has always been and will always be running to me and wants to welcome me home despite all of my mistakes and shortcomings. And will do the same for my children. I keep the picture I chose from that service on my mirror, and I look at it often, and it brings me to tears. A father's look of desperation, wanting his children to come home. As a mother, I hope to allow my daughters to deeper develop and cultivate their own relationship with God and Jesus, and know that they are never alone throughout the mountains and valleys of life. And the best way I can provide that for them is to live my own life that way. Also, during this time where Chris and I often follow a divide and conquer method when it comes to raising 3 children, the decision to be baptized together allowed us to move in a united direction as the spiritual leaders of our family. Being baptized allowed me to experience a rebirth in my relationship with Jesus and remember that His presence is constant. I rest in His peace often. Keeping God at the center of my life has allowed me to remember that this life is so much bigger than me. I've learned to let go and let God take the wheel, and the rest of the pieces will fall into place.
Well, first of all, I've always had God in my life. I've always felt like no matter how bad things got or how much I strayed, God was always there with me. And I always knew that even through all the bad paths that I was taking, it was almost like I was trying to push God out of my life to have my own will. And so I think my story is kind of a struggle for me trying to bestow my will on the environment rather than God's will. And that's been pretty much how I've lived my life. I live my life in a way that I can do it. It's all me. It's all me. I can do it. I can achieve anything. And that's tiring, you know, and I've been blessed with everything that a human can be blessed with. My wife, Julie, who, you know, just spoke here, and my kids are just wonderful, and I have great business partners, and, you know, success and all the things a person could want to have success with, but that's tiring, you know, and I finally realized, really, my grandmother passed away in early 2020, and I went to the hospital to see her, and we always had a great relationship. She was the spiritual rock of our family for 50 years, and she's really the one that always kept me with God. You know, she was always there to keep me with God, and the last day that she lived, I went to the hospital and I read the 23rd Psalm to her, and then she passed away about, I don't know, 15 minutes to an hour later, right after I left. So I knew at that moment that you know, I had a responsibility to my family and to all the people around me that I lead, because I've got a lot of people that are very close to me and that look toward me for guidance. So I knew that I had to step up and be the spiritual leader of my family. But I continued to make bad decisions, and I continued to try to have my own will. And in COVID, things got hard with business, things got hard with relationships, and instead of going toward God, I again went toward Chris handling everything. And then finally, our friends, the Carasquillos, suggested that we come to Grace Fisher's, and it was the first day that we were an official church here, and things started changing for me. I could tell that they did, but I still hadn't fully made that transformation. And then some even more challenging things happened for me personally. Being a willful person, you struggle with obsession, addiction, aggression, all those things that you hold yourself when you don't just let go. And finally, things just got so hard, and we had the opportunity to come in and get baptized. And I had been baptized before, and so for me, it wasn't a difficult choice. I've made so many bad, impulsive decisions in my life that for me to not make a good impulsive decision, which could potentially change the rest of my life, it was really easy for me. And Julie discussed wanting to get baptized, so I said, let's just go do it, And we went and we got baptized, and it was a very special experience. You had us baptize each other, which I'll obviously never forget, and that picture that I saw is just priceless. And after that, things really started turning around in my life. I started, I really just learned how to let go. And I'm a runner, and I ran a race in November, and I remember having a training run where I decided that the reason that I couldn't run as well as I wanted to run is because it was all me, and I just said, just let the Holy Spirit run you. Instead of you running you, let the Holy Spirit run you, and I had the best race of my life.
What would you say to somebody who's thinking about surrendering their life to Jesus and being baptized?
I would say the time is now. I feel like it was something that I wanted to do for such a long time for myself and for my family. I wanted to find a church for us to attend. I wanted to be baptized, and I waited for so long, and I wish I would have just done it so much earlier. Take some of the stress and pressure off yourself and give those worries to Jesus.
Yeah, I think it's a statement to yourself and to your family, whether that's you and your spouse or you and your kids, that no matter what's happened up until this point, from this point forward, it's Jesus in control, and Jesus that's going to be the influence on your life. With our baptism, we got to baptize each other, which is a moment that I will never forget and has only made our relationship stronger, I feel like, and our kids got to watch it as well. Mm-hmm. Our friends went and got them from Sunday school and brought them out there, and I'll never forget the look on my daughter's faces when they saw us walking out of the water, and that was important to me because I want them to know that accepting Christ in your life is the way.